im se svima, i malima i velikima, i bogatima i siromašnima, i slobodnjacima i robovima dade žig na njihovu desnu ruku ili na čela njihova, te da nitko ne može ništa kupiti ili prodati, osim onoga ko ima žig ili ime zvijeri ili broj imena njezina.
Pozdrav dragi narode, dobrodošli u još jednu epizodu Slobodni. Današnja tema je dosta kontroverzna. Naime, radi se o nečemu što je nova tehnologija, a moje iskustvo kaže tehnologiju koju znamo danas i koju koristimo je već nekoliko godina, ako ne i duže, stara i već je neko koristio prije nas. Tek onda su nama dali na upravljanje. Zato je današnji gost vrlo zanimljiv jer on je stručnjak koji će vam u detalje objasniti o čemu se radi. Stoga krenemo na stvar. Moj današnji gost je gospodin Mark Steele. Hello Mark, welcome to our show in Croatia.
Thanks for having me, Adrian.
Can you say a few words about your background?
I started off, I'm an engineer with a material scientist, so my expertise many years ago was in fracture mechanics. So I understand about molecular bonds, covalent bonds, certain types of frequencies, modulated frequencies that can cause fractures in materials. So that was my basis. However, since then, I then worked at a covert weapons facility for a number of years, and that's when I started to understand the sort of battlefield weaponry that was quite well advanced, but was hidden from the general public. The public have not been told about these, laser electronic type weapon systems. This information's been held from them. At the moment, we are starting to see Western governments in particular who are starting to mention the fact that there are these directional weapons, electronic weapon systems, but that information, to the defense industry has been around for quite a while. It's only now starting to come and be in the public where you've got military, the Department of Defense and other, defense contractors talking about these laser type electronic weapon systems, been around for quite a number of years, but they're becoming pretty public because of the attack in the US Embassy in Havana, where a number of US assets suffered serious neurological brain injury damage, irreparable brain injury and damage from these type of pulse modulated microwave radiation weapon systems. So there's a whole suite of these electronic weapons that most people have no understanding of. But they are there. They've been there for many, many years. The deployment has been used. I think the Russian embassy, the US embassy in Moscow, the US embassy in Moscow was actually attacked using, and this was many, in the 70s. So, the go back the earliest evidence we'll have of these sophisticated weapons was during the Second World War. And like I said, they're being kept from the general public for obvious reasons because they are very covert, very difficult to identify, and are connected to telecommunications and commercial off-the-shelf technologies like computers, smartphones, smart meters. All of this technology, it was a project called network-centric warfare. You can look into that. Network-centric warfare was so that the defense industry could put military-grade type technologies, weaponized nodes, etc., in off-the-shelf commercially available products.
You are a weapon system research scientist. That means you are the expert in this kind of new technology that they're using as a weapon. Can you explain exactly what was happened this, as I know, it's calling Havana syndrome, that was happened in embassy, United States Embassy in Havana. What happened there?
the governments across the world tried to say it was an ultrasound weapon, which was pretty laughable, due to the fact that microwave radiation weapons, using pulse modulated microwave radiation weapons at certain frequencies, you can penetrate someone's skull. And it had all the hallmarks of microwave radiation weaponry that are very sophisticated, and the governments at the time were scrabbling to come up with a deception, so they could deceive the general public. They don't want people to know about microwave radiation weapons because they are ubiquitous. That means there's lots of them, and they were all part of this network-centric warfare agenda to, so when people bring some of these devices home, you can be spied on, you can actually be attacked. They can attack you. The reason I have these protective eyewear, when you're on these OLED LED screens, there's a frequency can be made using the LEDs that can make you sick. So the fact that I wear protective eyewear nearly all of the time, LED street lights can be extremely dangerous. They're not safe. They were never safe, but they can be extremely dangerous using certain pulse modulated frequencies that can then attribute a neurological effect, a damaging effect. It can make people, how you have strobing lights. These strobing type emitters have a physiological effect on the human, on the person. So these defense industry organizations have used these for many, many years for subliminal messaging, putting images into, you can use transcranial technologies, so you can transmit information into the head to make people think things that they maybe wouldn't normally think. We're starting to see this in supermarkets where shops are starting to bring in facial recognition type technologies and technologies that can make you buy things by implanting subliminal messages into your skull.
Yeah, I am very familiar with these subliminal messages. It's a standard technique from the neuro-linguistic programming, and everybody in marketing using the same messages to want to send you a message to buy or to do something through pictures, through colors and everything else. But we are now discussing about new danger that you found out in London in this ULEZ zone, ultra low emission zones. Can you tell us what is it?
Well, what actually happened, I first looked at the design of the hardware that was being deployed, these so-called cameras. I was very concerned about what I call rad hard. Well, it's actually the industry terminology where you have rad hardened technologies, radiation hardened. So if you look at the ULEZ weapon, the laser weapon, it's shaped in a way that I would be concerned. I would show some concern. However, I hadn't visited London and didn't actually have a good understanding of the technology. So consequently, when the Blade Runners, this is a group of people in London, right across London, a group of people who are pretty upset about the fact there was a democratic vote in London by the Mayor of London, and he lost the vote. He lost the vote to bring in this larger ultra-low emission zone area, and he lost that vote. There was a lot of people upset about that. He still went ahead with it because obviously this is all part of the C40 city, 15-minute digital city prison system. It's what it is. And they were very upset about that. And those chaps were what I call British heroes, were going out and basically just cutting these things down, cutting them down. So to avail myself of the actual technology, I would really need to have a good understanding of it. So what I did, I went to London to one of the demonstrations in Hillingdon. It's a northwest area of London, where there was one of these demonstrations, and I met a number of these Blade Runner people, and I asked if I could be shown the internal elements of this what demonstrably wasn't an ENPR camera. ENPR cameras are extremely, you're talking about a chocolate box size piece of equipment. These are extremely large, very concerning from the looking from the outside in. However, to be confident about what this technology was and is, I would need a closer inspection and basically see inside. Now, I don't believe the people who have deployed this didn't think for 1 minute that I would go to all the trouble of travelling to London so I could actually see inside of this demonstrable weapon system. And people have to remember, the British government attempted to gag me in 2018 when I discovered fifth generation high gain dielectric lens antennas that were situated and can be weaponized in a heartbeat, where I'd found them deployed in streetlights. So
Okay.
LED streetlights weren't safe, and these LED streetlights actually had this micro 5G urban radar type spine technology that had been deployed in the streetlights.
Okay, I have some images that you sent me. I would like to explain what are these images, and then you will explain where you found it, and where are now there, and what is possibility from it. Just to say again, there is a Blade Runners, they call themselves Blade Runners in United Kingdom in London, who are cutting down these cameras all around London during the night because they are against this undemocratic force to control everything in this ultra low emission zone, how they call it, and you call them 15-minute cities. But now let's see these images, what you sent me. What do we see in this image?
What you're seeing in this image is a aluminium protective material, also an air gap. So there's an air gap between the resistance plates. So we see the green plate as a resistor, and we see an air gap, and we also then see a protective aluminium block. And as you can imagine, on the complete right of the picture, you can't see the electronics, but you can see the plug-in to the electronics. The electronics are protected from the antenna. The antenna is on the opposite side, printed onto this aluminium block. So you'll see there's an air gap, you've got a resistor, the green PCB board is a resistor. This is what I call rad hardened technology. That tells me that this is this element, the antenna element, which we'll see shortly, is actually for a directional weapon system.
What are we using this for?
That there is radar. That's a radar element.
Okay.
It's radar, yeah.
Okay. Let's see next picture.
That's the electronics. So this is the electronics. It has a number of capacitors. It's the electronics on the board, and from a directional weapons perspective, protecting these electronics is really important. So consequently, they're nowhere near the antenna. So they're separate from the antenna due to the potential power outputs. I don't want to burn these electronics out. If I was to burn them out, then obviously the weapon won't work.
Okay, let's see the next picture.
I would go, Andrea, can you go down to the antenna picture? It's the gold one. If you can just skip that and we'll come back to that.
Oh.
It's the gold, right. This is the antenna that's in that radar. You'll see there's 100 separate antennas. Each one of those antennas emits a large amount of energy. And when I bring them into phase, so when they're out of phase, basically I can scan the area just as radar would. It's a phased array radar element. But if I bring all those antennas into phase, so I'll get a beam, so I create what's called a constructive interference pattern, and I get a focus of the beam at a target. This is a directional weapon system. It has the potential to kill. This is the laser elements, because there's two parts to this weapon. You've got the radar. This is the LiDAR. This is the laser type element. And what you're looking at here, you've got two cameras. These are two cameras. This is the vision system. So you have a vision system. These are infrared cameras. You can see at night. If you go up the picture, you'll see capacitors. There's a bank of capacitors. There's 4 of them. If you just zoom back out, yeah, that's it. You've got 4 capacitors there, which that's a storage of energy. Now you have to remember this piece of hardware is mains supplied. So where you would have capacitors to smooth out a emission, you can see these capacitors actually they're on a PCB board, but on the PCB board you also have a fan. So you've got a fan which keeps the capacitors cool. That tells me that there's an expectation for them to run hot. If you want capacitors of that capability to run hot, then they've got energy to be put into an element. Now the elements, you'll see elements in, I think it's the next picture? It has the laser element.
No.
We'll go to the next picture.
Next. Next picture. Okay, this.
Yeah, that's just the radar. That's the radar picture. Right, there's the bank of capacitors. You'll see there's no necessity to have this storage of. Now this explains what fusion technology is. Fusion technology. That's just the capacitance.
Mm-hmm.
Which can be discharged in a very short space of time, in a microsecond or a millisecond, which allows you to deliver a large amount of power in a very short space of time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to the next picture, Andrea, that's it. So here's the mix. This is radar, camera, LiDAR. This is what you call fusion technology. So this covers the whole range. This covers the whole range in what is actually in this particular deployment. Now, when I wrote to Transport for London, they have denied. They've said there's no radar, there's no LiDAR. What they've said is they've got a camera system with some LEDs, LEDs that flash in infrared so that the camera can see your number plate. Well, what I'm going to say is the equipment absolutely has LiDAR. It has radar. Radar itself is environmentally toxic. LiDAR is extremely toxic because it's a higher photon value operating that part of the spectrum. The LiDAR system, I can actually enter your cranium, right? I can actually enter your head with this type of equipment, including a radar. So you've got radar, LiDAR, plus a camera called fusion technology. And Transport for London, the people who have paid for this using taxpayers' money, they've said the radar, the LiDAR, doesn't exist. Even though I've got the pictures, we've just seen some of the radar hardware as well as some of the laser hardware. So if we go to the next picture,
Yes.
that's the radar. That's the radar element. It actually has its own gun sight. It has a gun sight so that it can be focused at what we call a kill box area. It can be aimed at a kill box area just not far from the traffic lights. So these are attached to traffic lights. This is a potential weapon system due to the phased characteristics, the phased array element, where I can create this constructive beam pattern. And the electronics in this piece of hardware are rad hardened. That's the giveaway here, which tells you this is a weapon system. These are rad hardened technologies to protect the electronics from high outputs of radiation from the antenna.
And all of this you found in this cut it system, what you get from Blade Runners.
That's exactly what I found.
And
yeah,
when you write
a lot more,
and you write to authorities, you ask them about it, and they said there is nothing except camera.
not just a vision system. They said they only have a vision system, and also the small laser diodes on the front of the laser weapon. They said that they are just infrared LED. They most certainly are not. If you look at the technical details in the manual, it tells you they are LEDs, but I know what a laser diode looks like. So it's like me looking at it's like someone telling me this is a shotgun, and I'm looking at a pistol. I can tell the difference just by looking at it. So them telling me that these are LEDs is just ludicrous. And actually stating that they were class 1 LEDs, which is the lowest lowest risk. Well, these are not LEDs, and they're most certainly not lower risk. We'll get the next picture up.
Yes, just a question. What is danger from it? That means if you use this radar and camera and you put it in the same direction, it's direct energy weapon.
It's exactly what it is. It's a direct energy weapon. And not only that, it's environmentally toxic when it's not in weapon spheres. So just as it's scanning its environment, it's extremely dangerous to the environment.
Which kind of danger for the environment?
Radiation danger. You've got radar. Radar really should be categorized as a class 1 cancer causing radiation. All military, you've got to be careful about that. There's soldiers who stood in front of radars and have died within, a few hours of being exposed to radar. And that's why you have protective areas around radar. You have to have protective areas. They've never done any environmental impact analysis. When I first wrote to Transport for London, the authority who have deployed this equipment, I asked for the radiation output so I could assess what the dangers were to the environment. And I was shocked for the reply because they said that this radar and LiDAR doesn't exist. Well, I can see it. I can see it exists. So that then made me even more curious to look into, more of the aspects of the hardware that they deployed. So we'll go to the next picture.
Just one more question. Andrea, Just is it possible that these people doesn't know it's implement inside?
Exactly. Yes, that's the worry. The worry is there's one or two things. Either Transport for London have either lied to me demonstrably, or which I believe to be what's true. They do not know what they have deployed. They think that piece of equipment is a vision system, and it's not that.
Okay. Let's see the next picture.
This is the outside of the gun. As you'll see, it has an infrared image. You've got an infrared image here, and if you look at these small emitters, these small transmitters, they, to me, demonstrably are laser diodes and not LEDs. So we'll go to the next picture. Here is the full picture of the piece of hardware. As you can see, it's got a very suspect design. This rad hardened design, so protective. It protects the internal electronics due to the shape of the casings themselves. Also, these cooler vents, the cooler vents at the top of this aluminium block tells me that this equipment's going to run hot. Now, if it's going to run hot, it means it's going to be delivering a lot of energy. If this was a camera system, there's no way you would require those type of cooler vents or the cooling fans on the capacitors inside. Those 4 capacitors and the cooling vents and the plates are actually inside this piece of hardware. Totally unnecessary for an ANPR camera, which tells me these low emission zones are planning to kill a lot of people. Yeah. So the next image.
This is strong statement. How is this possible that somebody is implementing this in the middle of the London, and this kind of danger is present and nobody is recognized it, except you?
Well, it's exactly what's beyond comprehension. It's the fact is, I mean, I don't think whoever's behind this obviously didn't think somebody was going to chop them down. What they definitely didn't expect was that I would go to London to have a closer inspection of the actual hardware.
Let's see next picture.
Here in this next picture, here we'll have the laser symbol, which the laser symbol actually on the hardware, these are laser diodes. And we are pretty sure that the diode is anything from 700 milliwatts to 1200 milliwatts. That would be a category 4 laser. That's the most dangerous laser that you can manufacture. These don't have a cooling jacket, which tells me that they're for single shot. So basically, you can just shoot someone with them. You see, as a phased array element, they don't pose a significant risk. It's when you bring, there's 24 of these class 4 lasers. When you bring them into phase, so you cause this constructive interference pattern, and that's where they become lethal. But it also, there's a symbol, this other symbol on the left-hand side. I can't see, but I hope everybody can see it. What it shows is, it shows that the electronic emission here can burn skin. Now, you normally burn skin. It's the one on the left, the other one on the left-hand side. Yeah, that one. When you see a symbol like that, it shows that the electronics are going to burn hot. So it's a burn hot where what you don't want to do is switch this on when you haven't got protection from the lasers. Now, that would be, so if you've got a category 4 laser, this phased array element in the front, we'll go to the next image, you'll see it, the full thing, there's actually 24, you see 24, no, that's not it. You see 24, there's actually 100 antennas on there. There's 24 there, that's it there, yeah.
It seems that we don't have this picture with this 24. This is all picture we have.
The whole, yeah, you do. It's got the one with the infrared, the one with the IR picture on, Andrea.
Aha. Infrared
Like,
neka.
go to the one with the, yeah, you'll see it.
This one.
Yeah, we saw it before. No, go on. That's it. Yeah. So there's 24, these laser diodes. The infrared, so they operate in the non-visible spectrum. So you wouldn't be, if I fired the laser at you, you wouldn't be able to see it. You wouldn't recognize it. So you wouldn't be able to avert your eyes from it. It would be extremely dangerous to the environment. And like I said, Transport for London has said that this doesn't exist. You know, they've obviously bought into something that they know absolutely zero about. Now these are battlefield interrogation type technologies that have a major use on the battlefield, but troops operating in a battlefield are warned about being in any location near these, because these weapons can cause neurological damage. They can cause neurological damage, they can cause brain injury, and basically they can cause death. So what you don't want is not, you know, the people of London. There's thousands and thousands of these technologies being deployed. Nobody knows anything about it, and it looks like Transport for London are either in total denial or they've deployed something they know nothing about.
I saw during the protest, that was I think in Australia, they used some kind of weapon, electromagnetic weapon, and you cannot approach it, and they were using against protesters. Is this have any kind of connection with this, what you're telling us?
It's not dissimilar. It's not a dissimilar technology, because there's a number of different technologies you can use. When you start to focus energy at a target, it's what we call direct energy weaponry. Direct energy is in air. Normal antennas emit in omnidirectional, so you don't have to be very far away from an antenna for it not to be, you know, if you sat on top of it, then yes, it's gonna be dangerous. However, once you're out of the near field from these antennas, you know, the risk has dropped significantly. However, these directional beams, these lasers, they are specifically, it's a high power, it's a category 4 laser times 24 to beam at a target no more than 20 meters away from it. The gun sight, the radar gun sight, it's also keyed up to aim at the same area. Now, the plan here is for all vehicles to be removed, the C40 City, no private transport, and these radar elements can actually look directly inside the vehicle, so they've got enough radiation. This is just in that phased array element, so you're basically just scanning the area. It can see into a vehicle, it can see how many people are in the vehicle. So, however, that can be turned into a directional weapon with a flick of a switch by just creating all those elements, all those 100 elements in the radar, just to beam directly at a target. And unfortunately, that target, we know there's a depopulation agenda. We've got the intelligence documents, and now we know that the hardware that's being deployed in these C40 digital 15-minute cities, this is weaponry. This is unadulterated battlefield weaponry, and all someone needs to do is pull the trigger. Not only that, the operating platform is Azure, which is a 5G military operating platform. It's Microsoft, Lockheed, and Thales all partnered, and the modem inside, the actual high-speed modem inside that laser weapon is Thales. So you've got, these are all defense industry companies. All of the manufactured parts going into that, into those laser and radar weapons, it's all military hardware.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So it's military hardware on the streets of London, and the people who have put it there, the people who have deployed it, don't even know it's there. In fact, they've denied on several occasions. I've given them the opportunity to, to tell the truth, and every single time I've had numerous communications with Transport for London, and every time they've told me there is no radar. I've got the pictures, I've got the technical details of it. I know that what that is, and that tells me they're hiding something, or they just do not know. They've spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds, taxpayers' money, putting something on the streets of London that is extremely environmentally toxic, and they've done no environmental impact analysis because they don't say that this thing exists.
Okay.
They say it's not there. And I've got the pictures, I've got the technical details, and I've got the contracts. So can you imagine you hook up an Azure 5G military cloud-based AI system to operate a technically directional weapons program, a bit of hardware, and the AI system's already said it wants to kill humans. Well, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
So at the moment, they are scanning, vehicles, scanning their license plates. But I can tell you now, that hardware is a weapon system, period, and they are planning to kill a large number of Londoners.
We'll come to this. Just one more question. Is it possible that this direct energy weapon can be used to make fire? There was a lot of speculation about the wildfire that happened last summer at Hawaii. And lots of speculation said that it was man-made by direct energy weapon. What is your opinion?
Those lasers, absolute microwave radiation already would create a situation where materials break down, where you get what's called gassing off. So any hydrocarbon vehicle, anything with petrol or diesel, traveling into that space, you could create a breakdown of the molecular structure and start to see. So hydrocarbons, you'll get them to gas off. So you've got the radar element can get the hydrocarbons to gas off, and the laser element, those infrared, they are thermal. It's a thermal emission. These are 850 nanometers wavelength, which specifically are a thermal emission. So if I get a focused laser beam, I've got 24 category 4, all with, they'll tell you it'll burn your skin. So I get 24 of them to then focus at a target. I've already got the radar, which is getting the hydrocarbons to gas off, and I can fire that into the box. Basically, well, kill someone, not a problem. Set fire to things, pretty easy. Yeah, lasers can set fire to things at distances, at reasonable distances. And these things are only aiming at about 20 or 30 meters from the top of the traffic light.
Yeah.
They're attached to traffic lights right across London and only a few meters away.
And there was also speculation that has something to do with blue color. And I saw pictures.
That was the fourth.
Yeah, I saw pictures from
That's
Hawaii
and
the houses with the blue roof didn't burn out.
They're specifically, it's a 450 nanometers laser that did that. We know by, certain colors will absorb, reflect back out the radiation. That's how you see the color. So what actually happens, I fire a 450 nanometers frequency. That's quite interesting. It's 666 terahertz. So 666 terahertz frequency at a target, and if it's blue, it will reflect the radiation back out and doesn't burst into flames. Everything else just absorbs it, and that's how you get your ignition. So those infrared weapons, you need to paint your cars red The ones in London, if you paint your vehicles red, then you've got less chance of the laser element from setting it on fire.
Yeah.
However, the phased array, the radar element, I can pretty much set fire to your vehicle with that.
Yeah, maybe I can make a joke. You have in London famous red buses. Maybe it's because of it.
Exactly.
Okay, just joking.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what the role is of 5G technology in this? There is now implementing widely 5G. What is your opinion about this?
Right, there's two parts to 5G. 5G is just like this equipment. It's technical parameter. It's focused energy in air. So you have to have an antenna that can focus the beam for it to be 5G. 5G started off 3GPP. It was 3GPP, then 4G LTE. This was all what I call 5G Lite. Any antenna that can focus a beam at a target is classed as 5G. That's the IEEE technical parameter for 5G. Anything that can focus a beam. So 5G is fundamentally a directional weapon system, period. It's only masquerading as a telecommunications network. So 5G is the other element is densification. So if I bring in a multitude of masts in a cityscape, there's two things I'm going to do. I'm going to increase the temperature. I'm going to create a breakdown of molecular structures so that you're going to see more fire. There's a more propensity to fire. You're going to see a temperature increase. I believe the 5G densification is an excuse and a reason for governments to say that there's a global warming, because if I bring in thousands of antennas and I'm pumping billions of watts of microwaves into an environment, I'm going to create a temperature, a heat stress, and a temperature increase in the city. That's what they're going to call for that climate change. However, the main element of 5G is its focus and directional weaponry capability. When they switch that 5G on and trigger it, the same as when they trigger these so-called cameras in London, they're going to kill lots of people. So the whole 15-minute digital light emitting diodes, all of this technology that's all came about through this global warming nonsense is all part of a deployment of sophisticated electronic weapons for a depopulation agenda to kill.
Well, there is a phenomenon called urban heating island. And this is impact of temperatures from urban area. And I saw paper where they're explaining that the major part of increasement in temperatures are coming from urban heating islands. That means from the urban area. The land area they don't have much increasement in temperature last 50 years, just 0.55 centigrade. But when you calculate with this urban heating island, then you have around 1.1 Celsius centigrade.
Well, Birmingham City Council installed 100 to 600 milliwatt. Right now, the maximum, the ICNIRP guideline is 1 milliwatt, and that will elucidate a thermal increase in temperature in a human. Yeah, 1 milliwatt.
Just please tell to our audience what is ICNIRP. It's important. Tell to our audience what is ICNIRP.
ICNIRP is the International Commission for Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, but couldn't be any further from the truth. It's not for protection. It's to facilitate the industry to deploy massive amounts of radiation into these cityscapes. So where we had Birmingham City Council, the ICNIRP compliance is 1 milliwatt. They had antennas, anything from 100 milliwatts to 600 milliwatts. Each antenna had over a 10-mile reach each through the non-line of sight. That means through an urban environment. So it creates concrete stress. So you get concrete fracturing because it's a vibrational energy field at a molecular level. So it stresses materials. So you've got 107,000 on every single street light. They switched them on in 2019 and saw a temperature spike in the city and called a climate emergency. So it's the deployment of 5G. This was the micro network. So the micro network, you've got the larger mast, the MIMO mast, you've got all of the rest of the 5G paraphernalia, including smart meters, all smart devices, any access point. This was called network-centric warfare. This plan's been around for a long time. The 5th generation warfare plan is well laid out, where these large defence and government entities are turning their attention to attack their own civilian population. It's in all the intelligence documents. They're not hiding it. I mean, some of it's available in the public domain.
Yeah. And for sure, I'll put this link below for everybody, anybody who wants to see it. One important thing for last, it's important, we have some other things to discuss, but maybe next time. Now it's important in Croatia. We have installment of all kinds of camera, thousands of cameras around the country. And also our government has a goal to digitalize whole country. That means they want to implement 5G in all country, even on islands. What is your opinion about this, and also message for Croatian people?
The message for everybody is really important. We win. We win because we're far too early. This equipment, it's demonstrable. It is so demonstrable now that these governments are planning our extermination, whether it's through their corruption, their idiocy, if they're just idiots or whatever. However, they are deploying equipment that, in the first instance, is environmentally toxic, not safe. When it's weaponized and when they pull that trigger using an AI operating platform like Azure, it's going to kill millions of us. So I would say to all the Croatian people, any of this spying type target acquisition technology, the people who are deploying it, just like Transport for London, do not know what its real purpose. We do. We're far too early, and it needs to be removed before it kills more people. These technologies are already killing people. The temperature increase, the heat stress, the radiation effects, neurological damage, people suffering Crohn's, heart disease, brain injuries, diabetes. All of these things are all interconnected. And the reason for that, electromagnetic radiation is an immune system suppressor. So it causes cancer. We have a cancer epidemic, and your government will tell you these battlefield weapon systems are perfectly safe. Well, I can tell you now, these are battlefield weapon systems designed to kill. They're not safe. Electromagnetic radiation is extremely dangerous once it's focused. If you focus it, you can then take it over into an ionizing radiation field. And we all know that ionizing radiation is toxic, and you only have to get enough energy in a field, same as how a laser that operates in the non-visible, in the non-ionizing radiation spectrum, can cut stainless steel. And obviously, them lasers in that gun, that laser weapon, are totally different type of weapon because they're not continuous. They're not continuous flow. What they're going to do, they're just going to shoot you in a microsecond with enough energy to activate. Unfortunately, if you've had these up-converted nanoparticles, they were part of the COVID-19 injection program.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for your work.
Thanks very much, and thanks for having me, and thanks to everybody in Croatia for listening.
Thank you. Evo, dragi narode, dakle, ja o ovoj tehnologiji znam jako malo ili gotovo ništa. Međutim, oni koji implementiraju sada tisuće kamera po Hrvatskoj, pogotovo u Zagrebu koju vidimo. Moraju nam objasniti kakva je to tehnologija. Da li uistinu to tehnologija koja je provjerena, sigurna? Da li je to nešto što služi isključivo za provjeru tablica automobilskih i da li ćemo prolaziti kroz crveno? Ili ja se pitam stalno da li je Zagreb u konkretnom slučaju tako opasan da imamo toliko kriminala i toliko kršenja prometnih propisa da ljudi prolaze kroz crveno da nam trebaju tisuće kamera da nas snimaju na svakom sjecištu. Da li to stvarno razlog da tolike silne novce trošimo da bi pronašli nekoga ko je možda prošao kroz žuto ili na granici žutog i crvenog? Moje iskustvo, a nije malo, kaže da ne bi to smio biti razlog za takvu kontrolu i nadzor sa silnim kamerama koji, kao što vidite, imaju puno veće mogućnosti nego mi što mi znamo, obični laici. Pitanje je da li je isti slučaj kao i u Londonu, gdje ljudi koji to implementiraju i ljudi koji rade u gradskoj upravi uopće ne znaju šta implementiraju i uopće ne znaju što ta tehnologija može. Sjetimo se samo zadnjeg primjera pandemije u kome nitko u Hrvatskoj nikada nije proizveo niti jednu mRNA gensku terapiju koju su nazvali cjepivima, pa su svejedno svi tvrdili kako je sigurna i efikasna. Sada, 3 godine poslije, priznaju da nije ni sigurna, nije ni efikasna. Nisu ni na početku mogli znati je li. Na kraju sam Pfizer je priznao da je taj avion, kako ga je nazvao, gradio dok je on polijetao i letio. Dakle, greške koje su se događale su usput ispravljali i na kraju mi smo im poslužili kao pokusni kunići bez našeg pristanka da na kraju razviju navodno neku opet sigurnu tehnologiju. Međutim, nitko na početku nije znao koliko je to sigurno, nije znao ni koliko je kvalitetno jer nije niko se tim bavio. Naime, sam Halmed hrvatski je po instrukcijama Europske agencije za lijekove, koja je vjerovala dokumentima proizvođača Pfizera i Moderne, bez provjere, na kraju implementirala te proizvode i mi smo ih u Hrvatskoj administrirali 5,3 milijuna doza, da nitko nije provjerio jedan komad. Dakle, ne možemo se pouzdati u naše takozvane stručnjake da se brinu o našem zdravlju. Moramo sami postavljati pitanje. Tako i u ovom slučaju. Ovo je tehnologija koja je potpuno nova, mnogi ljudi uopće ne znaju za to. Spominju se u tim krugovima koje nazivaju teoretičari zavjere, međutim sve više i više se vidi da mi, teoretičari zavjere, ostajemo bez teorija zavjere jer se svaka ostvari, pa tako i volio bi da ovo ne bude teorija zavjere, nego da uistinu te kamere koje se postavljaju, prvo da nam odgovore pitanje zašto se postavljaju, postavljaju se i na našim otocima i u manjim mjestima. Drugo pitanje jeste zašto premijer tvrdi da mi moramo potpuno digitalizirati Hrvatsku i postaviti 5G svugdje. Da li je on to prekontrolirao, odnosno službe koje su trebale? Da li to ima kakav utjecaj na okoliš? Da li ima kakav utjecaj na naše zdravlje? Da li smo sigurni od toga? Da li je naša izloženost od 0 do 24 sata tom zračenju sigurna? To je neionizirajuće zračenje, međutim, izloženi smo 0 do 24. Ne samo nekoliko sati, koliko su neke studije koje sam ja pročitao izložile pojedince, pa su rekli ima utjecaj samo na zagrijavanje kože. Dakle, to su stvari koje trebamo provjeriti jer vidimo da imamo razloga sumnjati i da se ne možemo pouzdati u ljude koji bi se trebali brinuti o našoj sigurnosti. Tako sam i odlučio danas i pozvati gospodina Marka Steela da svoje iskustvo iz Londona iznese vama, kako bi to bio nama uzor da mi ta iskustva prenesemo u Hrvatsku, postavimo pitanja u svim gradovima gdje se te kamere postavljaju da nam pokažu kakve su to kamere, što u sebi imaju, da li imaju ove oznake ili nemaju, da li su sigurne, da li služe samo za prepoznavanje lica ili služe samo za, na primjer, prepoznavanje automobila ili vozača unutra i zašto bi prepoznavali vozača, nije li to neka osnova osnovnih ljudskih prava i sloboda da imamo privatnost. To su sva pitanja koje bi ja volio postaviti i hoću, naravno, ali treba mi vaša pomoć. Ne mogu sam, na kraju krajeva kad sam sam, onda me ignoriraju. Međutim, kada vas puno postavi ta pitanja, možda dođemo do pravog odgovora. Volio bi, naravno, da su mislili o svemu i da je sve sigurno, ali ne znamo i zato ćemo istraživati. Ja uvijek volim pitat prije nego što zaključujem. Hvala lijepo na pažnji i vidimo se uskoro još jednoj epizodi Slobodni.
Nitko vas neće natjerati da se poklonite zvijeri, učinit ćete to svoje voljno, odbacujući vjeru. Bićete laka meta za zvijeri, jer se niste podredili vjeri. Ako se ne podredite vjeri, podredit ćete se zvijeri. Toliko ćete se suobličiti sa ovim svijetom da nećete ni prepoznati da ste u zabludi. Biće to najveća demonska prevara ikada i pravedno zaslužena osuda nad nepokajanim grešnicima.
Gdje su svi?